Well, good afternoon, a very warm welcome here to a little bit of a rainy Liege, Bastogne Liege. Here's the look down of the previous winners of this race. Bob Jungels, the winner in 2018, in contrasting conditions, a very sunny day when he took the overall victory. Alejandro Valverde there as a previous winner. He's won this race, of course, on 4 occasions. Other riders who are in the field today as winners: Philippe Gilbert, Dan Martin, also there on the list of Palmares. Belgium, 59 winners, but they haven't had a winner for a long time. The last winner of this race from Belgium, Frank van den Broek, of course, many years ago. Italy with 12 wins, Ireland there with 3, with Dan Martin being one of them, of course. Well, the race started this morning in Liège. It was a very wet start. Tom Dumoulin wrapped up against the cold. Michael Woods rolling his way down the start ramp. Jakob Fuglsang, what a start to his season he is having. He hasn't been off the podium in a one-day race so far this year. Dan Martin, Michael Matthews, many people mentioning this rider as a possible winner.
Qui cède la place, eh bien, une unité de l'équipe CCC, c'est Joey Roscoff qui était échappé sur les routes de la Flèche Wallonne il y a quelques jours.
And Dylan Toombs from Bahrain Merida getting ready. Vincenzo Nibali hot-footing it from the Tour of the Alps to get here on the start line. And the world champion, Alejandro Valverde. There's Julian Alaphilippe. Another day for him, and Philippe Gilbert, the winner of the Paris-Roubaix. Well, the riders haven't really had many days like this so far this season. Very wet indeed. They rolled out of the start then at 10:10 this morning. Big crowds, despite the weather, to greet the peloton. 175 riders, 25 teams, and it wasn't long until they rolled out of the neutralised section to get the race underway. No sooner had the flag dropped than the attack started to happen immediately. Riders trying to break clear and form the breakaway, and it took a little bit of time until the breakaway formed. But the riders then over the top of the Côte de Saint-Roch, and in the breakaway group, sorry about a bit of silence then, a little bit of problems with our audio right now. Let's take a look then at the route that the riders face. 256 kilometres of racing, and the riders taking on this new course with the middle section of the race taking them over these interesting climbs being added again. Côte de Wam, the Côte de Stocco and the Côte de la Vie. These 3 climbs come right in the centre of the race. There they are before the riders run down over the Col de Masquezard, over the Côte de la Redoute, over the Côte de Forges, the Côte de la Rochard-Fauchon, and then into the new race finish with the race coming back into Liège to see the run into the race finish. So the return of these 3 new climbs. So the weather conditions at the moment: 10 degrees centigrade at the start, 12 degrees at the finish line. Very windy as well. So we're in for an interesting day out on the road here. Just to update you then, Dan Martin has abandoned the race. Unfortunately, was sick with a bug after the race in the Basque Country. We saw him on Wednesday, he was suffering. Also has abandoned Fabio Fellini and Antoine Tolec. Those riders, those three riders out of the race now. And this is our breakaway group of riders. In the group then, from Trek Segafredo, Julien Bernard. From Groupama, FDJ Tobias Ludvigsen. From the Wanty Group, Pascalon. From Total Direct Energy, Lilian Calmejean. Also in here is Maison. Maison wearing number 215 from the group of Arkea Samsung. And the other riders in the group are Del Tom, Molly and Patience. The breakaway group then 3 minutes and 53 seconds as the total car comes up to have a conversation alongside Lilian Calmejean. Calmejean, of course, stage winner in the Tour de France. You may remember that magnificent stage victory when he left us all wondering whether it was going to happen, cramping up on the run-in, the race finish. The peloton starting to look a little bit more interested now in what is going on out on the road, and it's the team of De Kooning Quick-Step who are starting to drive this race on, doing as much as they can to bring the gap down. 3:48 now is the advantage. A problem here potentially for Alejandro Valverde. Just having a look to see what's going on here with him. Doesn't have a puncture. Valverde, is he rolling along? I'm not sure. We'll keep an eye on what's going on with Alejandro Valverde and find out whether he is actually okay. There's a big push now by De Kooning Quick-Step at the front of the race. And it looks like they want to try and see whether it's possible to split this race with the pouring rain and also with the winds. And as you can see, we are getting some damage done. Group of riders there towards the back. There's splits happening in this peloton. Team Sky also in their final race as Team Sky. Really starting to drive this one on. So Sky and De Kooning Quick-Step trying to split this race as much as possible. 3:43 now is the advantage. This is a concerted effort now to really try to get rid of a few riders, and as we look back, this is the second group on the road. There's going to be a few panic stations going out for any riders who were sitting further on down the string, and as you can see, there are a few riders who are trying to do something about this. UAE Team Emirates trying to close the gap, so are Jumbo Visma, and right on the front of the race now, Peter Seri is pushing this one on a little bit. In front of him is Mas, behind him is Philippe Gilbert, then Julien Alaphilippe and Remy Cavagna. They are really pushing on now. Team Sky just behind, all wrapped up in the rain jackets. Peter Seri says keep it a little bit more steady if that's at all possible. And Valverde is at the side of the road. Looks to me like Valverde is going to climb off. Now there's a reports that he swallowed a bee the other day during Flèche Wallonne. Some people have reported that he swallowed the bee and it stung him in the neck, but in reality, if you speak to the Spanish speakers, what he said was that a bee went inside his jersey and stung him on the neck. And it looks here like Valverde is climbing off. Or is he changing bikes? No. Alejandro Valverde has abandoned Liege, Bastogne Liege, with 103 kilometres to go in the team car for Alejandro Valverde. .94 kilometres to go. So many big names in this year's race. It's quite difficult to pick a real winner from the list of riders, but you've all got your favourites as always. Everyone's still mentioning Alaphilippe as a possible winner, but when you go through, you've got all the possible riders who can take the win. Romain Bardet, Nibali, Tom Dumoulin, Lutsenko, Alaphilippe, Gilbert, Jungels, the winner of last year, Adam Yates, Michael Woods, Simon Clark, Fuglsang, Kwiatkowski. So many possibilities for the overall win. Up near the front then is Kwiatkowski. He's the rider for Sky in the white and red helmet towards the front. And Kwiatkowski says that he feels that this race is going to heat up a lot earlier than it previously did. And he said also yesterday that he's been waiting all winter for Liege, Bastogne Liege. Once we go over the top of this climb then, it is just a few kilometres to the Côte de One, and that's where this race really is going to start to bite. As Julien Bernard now decides, right, there's a few riders freeloading in this group, and he tries to extend the advantage and maybe prize 2 or 3 riders with him who are a bit more efficient to try and go ahead and take as much time as possible. Over the top of this climb then, over the Côte de Mont-de-la-Soie, and the next climb will be the Côte de One, the start of these 3 climbs. You can see the faces on some of these riders. This is hurting a lot. Greg Van Avermaet there in the gold helmet, in the centre of the picture in orange. The shades are on, just trying to keep the rain out of his eyes as much as possible. And Julien Bernard opening up a lead. This is a good performance by the Trek Segafredo team so far. They're looking for the race victory. They've got an interesting team here. Fellini has had to step off, but they're going, I think, with Tom Skewins as the race leader of their team. And Tom Skewins, I think, if he's given the time and given the mantle to take this race on, then Skewins could produce something. We remember his rides in the Tour de France last year when he was in the King of the Mountains jersey. He's a great attacking rider. Some riders here in difficulty. This is starting to hurt. I'm just looking to see who's here. There's all sorts of pain going on. These riders have had quite a hard last few weeks. Whilst at the front it looks very calm, very, very comfortable, it's not easy at all. 1:20 now as they go over the top of the climb. This race very much lined out. So Kwiatkowski said he's been waiting all winter for this. Philippe Gilbert said before the start that the new descent in towards the finish line, the run-in to the new finish, is a descent which you can't just go into the aero tuck-in. You have to fully pedal all the way down it. So you can't just do this all the way down. You've got to be really on it on the run into the finish. But Bernard now solo. He's really just trying to take the pressure off his teammates, give Tom Skewins the best opportunity just to sit in the group. And Skewins likes this sort of course, these lumpy courses up and down all day. Well, thank you very much for all your messages. At Macrossan is where you can join me today. Thanks for Chris Snyder for your message, and I'm glad you're watching. And is it warm in the booth in Belgium? Not really. It's cold outside and the heating is on in the commentary box today, but I've got the commentary position where there's a hole for all the wiring to come through underneath my feet. So the air conditioning from the outside is very, very good. Matt Phippen, keep riding on Zwift while you are watching this afternoon. I'm glad you're keeping fit while you're watching the racing. 90.5 kilometres to go, and things still quite nice and steady, not kicking off fully yet. Annemiek van Vleuten still the solo leader of the women's race as she heads towards the finish line. Back of the peloton on these slick, wet roads. I can imagine the riders in this group were searching for their rain jackets this morning, wondering where they were, because it really has been such a okay start to the season. You have to get used to the fact you get cold, you get wet, and also get used to how you descend, of course, as we watch these riders going downhill. These are the chasers of Julien Bernard. A little bit more careful through the corners, and these pro riders, when you watch them, they don't go absolutely flat out through these wet corners. They will just take things a little bit more careful. They know that if they crash, they could be out for weeks, and they don't want that. But Bernard looking pretty happy out here. He's kicking on. Looks very efficient indeed. This is Stavelot Abbey, which we're just flying past right now. If you get the chance to come to Liege, Bastogne, Liege, plenty, of course, to see in this particular area for good reasons and commemorative reasons as well. Beautiful chateaux, lovely areas of countryside. And of course, as we race Liege, Bastogne, Liege, we remember all those who died between the times of the various wars. There's around 8,500 graves around this area, which commemorate the deaths of the Allies and the Germans who fought in the World Wars. The numbers are pretty breathtaking when you start to read them, and we commemorate them and remember them. Of course, for many Australian fans, we had Anzac Day just a few days ago. But around 19,000 Allies and 17,000 Germans fell in this region. Those numbers are pretty breathtaking. Philippe Gilbert over on the left-hand side. He's got the rainbow bands on that jersey, just on the sleeves. Of course, if you've been a world champion, you can always wear the rainbow bands around your sleeves. A few riders just trying to get a bit of food in. Matty Moritz trying to take on a bar, sitting there second wheel with the silver grey jacket, the white sleeves. He's just trying to bang the energy bar on the handlebars, just trying to get it open as quickly as possible. Julien Alaphilippe stretching his neck. Witkowski just warning the next rider behind him that something is coming up. But our solo leader is Julien Bernard. And he might get a little bit of help soon, by the looks of things. as riders try to close the gap on our solo leader. Riders just trying to get some life into their hands. You kind of wonder why they don't go back to the team car and actually get some gloves on. I'm wondering whether that is Kenny Molly who's in that little group. Well, Bernard in a big gear as he makes his way downhill, not far to the next climb of the day. Andrea Pascalon goes past the camera from the Wanty group. On to the next climb. This is Julien Bernard. Big crowd out enjoying watching him go past. These Devenants fans. This is the Côte de Stockholm. 1 kilometre straight up, 12.5%. With a 15% ramp at the top. The 12.5% is the average gradient. This is the theatre of the attack of Eddy Merckx in 1971 I was talking about just a few moments ago, where he used it as a springboard for victory in one of his 5 wins in La Doyenne. Not far behind then, this group. In fact, only Bruxelles have now got both their riders trying to come across. And there we are with the stats on the screen. Remembering Eddy Merckx after his assault on Liège, Bastogne Liège for the 2nd time. And here there is a little bit of a commemoration to Eddy Merckx. Commemorates his 525 victories on the Côte de Stockholm. And around this region there's commemorations of bike races, which is another thing you can do if you're here. Come and find the climbs that are in the famous races, ride some of them, and also go to the little commemorations and take a look. That lovely monument there to Eddy Merckx. Such a great man. Wonderful to catch up with him from time to time on some races. So quiet and humble. And here's our 3 chasers then. Ludvigsen is the rider in the white and blue. Molly and Pattons are the 2 other riders with him. And this is Lilian Calmejean riding for the Total Direct Energy team. Peloton not too far behind him. Reports in Gazzetta dello Sport today saying that Julien Alaphilippe has got an offer on the table from Total for €4 million for next season. They've got some money to spend. They want to go into the World Tour, and they've offered Julien Alaphilippe €4 million. We'll wait and see whether that starts to a little bit. I'm sure Julien Alaphilippe has probably got 5 or 6 sitting in his inbox right now. Ollie Brook-White, thank you about the Kiwis. I would never forget you at all. There's Bernard, gritted teeth now. This is starting to hurt a little bit more. Bernard, 27 years of age, out of the saddle, just 1 bottle on the bike now. Trying to keep the pressure on all of the time. Once we go over the top of this, there is a little feed zone. Then we go past the Spa circuit, down to the base of the Col de Rosier. Suddenly this looks a little bit dangerous, this group. Schachman has made it for the Bora Hansgrohe team. He's pulling some faces. Lawrence de Plus is the rider in the yellow. Who else is in here? Well, there's a few riders in here who could cause some issues. Tom Skewens makes his way onto the back of the group for Trek Segafredo. He's recognised the danger. Look at the faces on these riders. Also in here for Bahrain Merida, Damiana Caruso. And suddenly this race is accelerated. The remnants of the breakaway being mopped up. Gilbert looks comfortable, right on the wheel of Benedetti. Avermaet's keen to drive this one on. Van Avermaet attacks now. He's decided he's going to try and this one out here. Here we go with the Olympic champion. 74 kilometres to go. And Van Avermaet just tests everyone out a little bit. He's obviously decided he's going to take this one on if he can. Over the top of the Côte de l'Haute-Vie. And Van Avermaet is going solo. Looking around, still got the full leg warmers on. Now he calms down a little bit. Nice little nudge there by Van Avermaet. Oops, problem here. Looks like Romain Bardet at the side of the road. Bardet has a bike change. So Romain Bardet back into the race now. Bardet fancies his chances in this. Gets himself in a little group and can go solo, then why not? Bardet really wrapped up against the cold. He's such a skinny rider. Okay, little group here. Has it all come back together as the helicopter just pans back on the climb? It's like, no, we've got echelons all over the place. So Benedetti kicking on. Schachman is sitting third wheel. What a season he's had. Just starting to take the rain jacket off. Nibali has made it into the front group as well. Nibali just talking into his race radio, just checking what's going on. And Bahrain Merida obviously happy with this, with Caruso. Looking back through the group. Skewens has made it. And here on the right-hand side, the arrival of Annemiek van Vleuten solo from the top of the final climb, the Côte de la Roche-au-Fasson. A magnificent time trial by the rider from the Mitchelton Scott team, riding her way into Liege to take her first Liege-Bastogne-Liege. Annemiek van Vleuten takes the victory for the Mitchelton Scott team. A great solo performance by Annemiek van Vleuten. She's been looking for the victory. Second place, the rider who attacked on the run into the finish of Flèche Wallonne and was caught on the Mur de Huy. Well, the good form pays off. Floorta Mackay, the winner previously of Ghent-Wevelgem, takes second place. And third on the podium there, Demi Vollering of the Park Hotel team, a rider who has been really consistent all the way through the classic races. Well, Annemiek van Vleuten took the win then for Mitchelton Scott. A great victory by the rider who took La Course, of course, last year. This race very much on now. Gilbert goes to the front. The question is this combination what he wants? 72 kilometres to go. Thanks for joining us. This is Liege-Bastogne-Liege, the 105th edition of the oldest monument of the season. A murky, cold, wet, dismal day on the road. Being lit up now by these little nudges, these little tests by Van Avermaet and the other riders who want to win this race. More riders trying to come across. Slowly but surely, this race is being decimated. We've already seen Alejandro Valverde climb off. We've seen Dan Martin climb off. Fabio Fellini also climb off. And now you can see further on back as we go through the feed, the race really starting to close up. Bernard is in a good position. Now he's starting to just wait, and he will wait for Skewens, who is in that group, and he'll look after him. Great teamwork here by Julien Bernard. Very important for these riders in this sort of temperature and cold to just keep fueled up. Make sure that you have got everything you need. Don't get to the end of the race and have a hunger flat. This is one of those days when you really do need to look after your nutrition. Tanel Kanget accelerates again. Onto his wheel goes the Astana rider. And it looks like it's Omar Freile who joins up at the front now with Kanget. Kanget, the winner of the Abu Dhabi Tour. There's a few riders feeling the pace now at the back. So Kanget and Omar Freile. Freile, a stage winner in the Tour de France. Just trying to keep the pace as high as possible as they make their way up this next climb of the day. And Stettner now starting to suffer a little bit. His work is done for the Trek Segafredo team. Col de Rosier, the longest descent of the race. Wasn't chosen for the route in 2014 for Australian fans when Simon Gerrans was the winner of the race. It wasn't on the route. Team Sky in their last race as Team Sky. Eddie Dunbar starting to drop off the back. Crashed, of course, in Flèche Wallonne, and now we see more accelerations at the front. It's a day of attrition. It's all about the riders who are just having to hold on to stay in the right position. Two more riders trying to go across. Kanget and Freile. Freile looks pretty comfortable. He's got so many clothes on. Tanel Kanget, of course, wearing the clothing of his new sponsor for this season, the Rafa clothing, which so much has been talked about by the EF team. Such a good place for the development of clothing, isn't it, this? Eddie Dunbar is on his limit. This looks like it's game over for the Irishman. And again, is he going to come back? Looks like he has had a bad moment. It's a surprise because this rider is a spectacular climber. Just in front of him then was Ben King of Dimension Data. Everyone huddled together at this moment. More riders going clear. Looks like another attack from CCC. This is... So it's Cosnefroid and Ancona who are in the gap, I think. This is Verona now. And it looks to me like another couple of riders. So we've got Kanget and Friley. Then in the gap, we've got Anancona and Cosnefroy, the former under-23 world champion. Those are the two riders you can see in the background right now, coming up to the motorbikes with the two front wheels. I've always wondered, why do these motorbikes have two front wheels? Someone can tell us, I'm sure. And then behind we've got one rider from CCC with another Agi Duzel, a Mondial rider, but still these two riders maintaining the pace. Tom Kanget looking comfortable. He's been keen to get away, and I wonder whether he's just trying to set something up for the rest of the EF team here. Friley doesn't seem to have done any work. He's just sitting on the wheel. Kanget from Estonia. Doesn't seem too worried by the weather, does he? In any way whatsoever. Riders who might win this race then. I'm sure you'll tell me as we go through who's your favourite rider for today, but now we've got a group maybe coming back, which means we've probably got 60 riders still in with a shout of winning this race. But riders we jotted down before the race start, there are possible winners. Roman Bardet, Kreuziger, although he's suffering after that crash the other day. Michael Volgren, if he can find some form. Vincenzo Nibali, Matti Moric, Tom Dumoulin is in here. Lutsenko, Alaphilippe, Gilbert, Adam Yates, Michael Woods and Simon Clark of EF, Fuglsang, Kwiatkowski. And that's just a few of the riders you start to note down who might be the possible winner of this edition of Liege-Bastogne-Liège. This is Anancona and Cosnefroy. Bahrain Merida, looks like Caruso trying to go across to that little gap and get to the next group on the road. There are riders all over the place. Look at this. Group of 5, group of 1. Then we go back to the peloton. Dangerous moments in Liège-Bastogne-Liège as Eddie Dunbar gets another lease of life. As we go through the famous spa, as in Spa Town, where the mineral water is produced, and of course spas across the world take their name from. So the smaller teams will justify their wildcard entry to the race by going on the attack and showing that they should have been invited, but also they are smaller teams and they want to grow, so they want television time for their sponsors so they can then justify increases in budget and things like that. The point in the race now that we are looking at, where there are attacks and there's a breakaway, is pretty much twofold. One reason that a rider has sneaked in here who's feeling good and thinks they can win from this position, or there are riders in the breakaway who are riding for other riders and they are protecting them, and meaning that they don't have to chase. Or they are trying to put a team on the back foot, and that's what's gone on here. As you can see, let's explain this breakaway. De Koen and Quickstep are now on the front of the peloton, chasing at 50k an hour nearly. And the reason they are is that they want to win the race, and they have no riders in this front group. They have been caught on the hop a little bit, and the front group has got some really talented riders who believe they can win the race, or they're protecting their interests of their team leader. So if we go through them, Alessandro De Marchi is there because he thinks he can win from a breakaway, but also he's defending the position of Greg Van Avermaet. Lambrecht is there for Lotto Soudal because he is the rider that Lotto Soudal want to win, and they hope the breakaway can go to the finish. Anancona is in there with Verona from Movistar because Valverde's no longer here, and therefore they have turned their attention to trying to win themselves. Cosnefroy is there because he is a protected rider for Agi Duzel and Mondial, but he is also meaning that Roman Bardet doesn't have to chase. Caruso's here for Bahrain Merida to take the pressure off Vincenzo Nibali. Kanget is here because he thinks he can win. Fraile the same for Astana, but also because he believes that Lusenko or Fuglsang could win, so he's protecting their interests. Albacini's here because he thinks he can win from this breakaway group, but also takes the pressure off Adam Yates. And De La Cruz is here for Sky because I'm not sure where Kwiatkowski is, and I think he's protecting Kwiatkowski, so he means Kwiatkowski doesn't have to chase. And all these teams are putting the pressure on De Koning Quick-Step, who are the Classics team of the year, and they want to give them grief. Dean Aldrich, thanks for watching. I hope you're enjoying the race. Matt Christensen, enjoying your matcha this morning. That's a bit of fuel for the day. And do we know if Bardet made it back? I'm pretty sure he's made it back into the peloton now. And John, thanks for the question about rain jackets. Why don't they match the team jackets as we go on to the Col de Marquesade? Well, basically it's the printing of them, and the material they use is like almost like a wetsuit material, and it can't be printed in the same colours, or not the same design, and that's why they have them a little bit darker most of the time. De La Cruz is just working his way onto the back, but he seems to have a mechanical issue. The gears aren't running the way they were. Onto the Col de Marquesade. At the top is the National Memorial to the Unknown Resistance Fighter, which was inaugurated in May 1949. And Marquesade means resistance fighter. De Koning needs to bring this back. 33 seconds now is the deficit for the chase. And that doesn't sound healthy at all, does it? De La Cruz is looking for the team car. Those gears are all over the place. He's just trying to stay with the breakaway and wait till the team car comes up. But look at that, the chain is bouncing all over the place. He won't be impressed at all at that tonight, will he? Adam Yates towards the back, just going back to the team car. After this, he'll have a break before the next phase of the season. Gilbert looking for the team car now, just in front of Gilbert, number 92 there for the team Sunweb. Very busy at the team cars. Jan Bakelans is number 92. Team cars are extremely busy right now. Everyone's starting to warm up, getting themselves ready for the big run into the finish. This is where Bastogne starts to build up. Sunweb coming forward in big numbers. Here on a radio tour that the gap is now 40 seconds. De La Cruz looking around to see where his team car is. And here it comes, Team Sky with one of their last mechanicals of the season as Team Sky. 6 Tour de France wins since they started. And De La Cruz gets a new bike. Nice slick change there for Team Sky. De Koning kicking on. Thanks for your messages on Twitter and Instagram. On Instagram, Kurt Vermark. What do I think of the Dimension Data kit this year? That you can't really identify it. Yeah, it is hard to see in the peloton, I have to say. I like the kit, but you can't really see it as well as you could before. If you had a bit more of the lime green on it, then you would see it very much better. Carol on Instagram, thanks for your message. What does it take for a continental team to become a world tour team? Two things: budget, and two, getting a license to be world tour. There are only 18 world tour licenses, and they are taken at the moment. So you can't just say, oh, I've got 30 million, I'm going to be a world tour team. You also have to get the license, and that's the hard bit. Koenig are having to work harder than they wanted to. Win White, do we think that Sunweb have plans for Dumoulin, or are they all in for Matthews? That's a conundrum, isn't it? For certain. I think if you come over the top of this climb with Matthews in the group, the final climb of the day, you would ride for Matthews, no doubt whatsoever. Because Matthews can win Liege, Bastogne, Liege in a sprint on this flat run-in. If they go over the top with Dumoulin, they're all in for Dumoulin. But I think they're probably looking after Matthews. He's had such a good season, and you really think about it. I mean, a lot of people say he hasn't. But Michael Matthews, so far, has been pretty consistent in the top 10 of every single classic we've seen. Nothing like Alaphilippe. Alaphilippe's won Flèche Wallonne, Milano Sanremo, Strade Bianche, stage of Tirreno, stage of the Basque Country, fourth in Amstel Gold. But Michael Matthews has been Mr. Consistent in the top 10. .38 seconds for the leading group. Lambrecht sitting comfortably, shaking the legs now and then. Not too far in front of him is Damiano Caruso, the Italian rider for Bahrain Merida. He's also in the red kit with the blue. Second in Tirreno Adriatico, second in the Tour of Switzerland, 8th in the Giro, 11th in the Tour de France. 31 years of age now. As we see, Tano Kanget has stripped off his rain jacket. He's ready for action. We're in the finale as we get onto the climb of the Côte de la Redoute. The most famous climb in Liège, Bastogne, Liège. We're going to see what happens. We've just gone through Remouchon, the town where Philippe Gilbert comes from. Philippe now is dressed for action. 2 kilometers to the top of the Côte de la Redoute. Kwiatkowski comes up on the right-hand side with a red and white helmet, still with his rain jacket on. Kanget just riding away a little bit. He's looking strong today, this rider. Wonderful to see him back to full health. He had that terrible crash a couple of years ago and hardly rode his bike for something like 11 months. De Koning looking comfortable. Tim Bellin starting to show at the front here on La Redoute. There on the left-hand side, dodging in and out of the picture. Romain Bardet is still there. This is the lead group, cracking a little bit, and here on the hillside, one fan has written Phil all the way up the climb, pretty much from here. A Japanese fan who has written Phil both in English and in Japanese, all the way to the top. There you go. Problems here for number 39. Towards the back of the group. Nibali is starting to feel the pressure. That's a surprise. Nibali's just finished the Tour of the Alps and he looked good there. But Nibali's starting to feel the tempo. This race tempo is very different to a stage race. Nibali has finished second in this race before. Now it kicks up a little bit more on the La Redoute. De la Cruz riding back towards Canguet now. And de Koenig still with Alaphilippe's second wheel. Can Alaphilippe do the unthinkable and win 2 monuments in one season? Henrik Mas setting the tempo. Jakob Fuglsang moves up on the left-hand side. His best performance in this race is 9th. And the 2 Movistar riders are feeling the pace. Look at the wind on those flags. A bit of a headwind as they came round that corner. Canguet still with this little advantage, not too much now. Cosnefroid's coming back to him. And towards the front of the race now, Michael Woods in the pink of EF. The first time we've seen him in the race. Now you're starting to see all the number 1 on the back of the riders as the team leaders. Alaphilippe is up there, Michael Woods is there, Bardet is there. Sorry, that was, it wasn't Nibali being dropped at the back, it was his brother Antonio Nibali who was being dropped. So Vincenzo is still there. Schachmann is also there. Just looking to see whether Yates is there. Fuglsang definitely. Wellens is up the front. Matthews is there. We've lost Alejandro Valverde today. Dan Martin also abandoned. Van Avermaet is near the front. Taking a look then, who is here? Kwiatkowski is here on the right. Wout Poels, the winner in 2016, moves up. So Wout Poels is looking good. Schachmann is looking comfortable. The headwind is going to cause the riders to ride this a little bit more carefully. Philippe Gilbert, the legs are starting to hurt now. He knows this climb better than most. and Ancona about to be caught. One fan running up this climb. Let's get him out of the way. Nibali looking okay, so just to claim back that warning. Vincenzo Nibali is there and he's okay. Wellens is there. Fuglsang looks like he's out for a club run. David Gaudu is also here for Groupama FDJ. He's a rider who's won the Tour de l'Avenir. Lambrecht finished second in the Tour de l'Avenir. Whoops. Canguet drops his bottle. That won't be a good move. Over La Redoute, and no damage done. This is still the chasing group. Our lead rider is still Tano Canguet from EF Education First. Here goes De Marquis. He decides he's had enough of towing everyone on. Lambrecht shaking his head. De la Cruz lets Lambrecht go through. Cosnefroid is there. Caruso is on the wheel. Caruso also riding with an As Sabre on his bike. Can see Canguet up there in the distance. 17 seconds to this group. Lambrecht not so good in the winds. He's a tiny little rider. Just took a big deep breath then. This is hurting. We really are getting to the business end now. Inside 30k coming up. Lambrecht spinning through, pulling faces. all the time. This is hurting a lot. Already 226 kilometers in the legs. Big crowd waiting for the riders here in Liège. Hardly anyone left in this peloton. Ranget's in a massive gear. He's putting EF in a brilliant position. Concentrating hard, keeping the tempo high, still with the leg warmers on, churning this gear over. Metronomic, stylish. Really putting huge power through these pedals as he goes into the next turn. It's little risky corners, still riding so well on the limit. At the back then, the rest of the EF team looking for the team car. Martinez wearing 17. In front of him is Craddock, and moving up on the outside is Michael Woods. Getting rid of his shoe covers is the Bora Hansgrohe rider, and that looks like McCarthy, sorry. Over the little speed ramp. And Caruso is trying to keep the pressure on, but this race now is coming back together. Any moment now we're going to end up with one solo leader, a few little bumps and things going on. Not far from the Côte de Forges. Côte de Forges is 1.3 kilometres in length. And we reach the top of that with 25 kilometres to go. So we're about 2k from the bottom. Astana coming forward. They've got a couple of cards to play. Near the front still Daryl Impey. The South African champion is staying all the way near the front as Canget continues his push towards the Côte de Forges. Into the aero tuck for Tanel Canget, right on the limit through these bends. Now on dry roads, so he'll be a little bit more confident. Just well over 60k an hour as he went through that bend. Just is on a good day, you can tell. You just see the way he's rock solid on the bike. He looks like he's absolutely thriving in this race today. Since we went live, Canget has been involved in pretty much all the action in some way. Past the Golf de Gomza. Right on the back of the group is Verona now of Movistar. They've tried a few little things. Nothing's really happened for them yet. De Koenig have been using a lot of riders. Who is left in here who can ignite an attack? Lovely little golf course in this region. Not as manicured as some golf courses are. Can get now on to the main road, heading towards the next climb. This is the Côte de Forges. Big crowd on this climb for Tanel Canget. This climb is where Stanok has made his decisive attack in 1955. 1.3 kilometres to go, up to the top. And a really steep bit in the middle of 8%. There's a memorial to Stanokers here in his honour at the side of the road. And after we go over the top of this, we have one climb left. And Mark Riley near the front. Now we get some moves. Katusha Alpecin with a big acceleration. And a bit of an advance going on. This looks like Bastogne trying to go clear. 4 riders now at the front. Impey of Mitchelton Scott, Vellens of Lotto Soudal, who immediately goes to the front. Can get a VF Education first, and the Bora Hansgrohe rider Patrick Conrad. Vellens, 27 years of age. We have not had a Belgian winner of Liège, Bastogne Liège since Frank van den Broek. Sorry, of course we have. We've had Philippe Gilbert, and that was 2011. So we've had a little few years since a Belgian won the race. But Van den Broek, 1999, was the previous Belgian winner. Gilbert in 2011. Not many Belgian winners in the last 20 years, when you think about it. Previous to that, they were pretty much dominant. I mean, there was periods of time when Belgium won all the way from 1967 all the way through to 1976 with Godefroot, Merckx, De Vlaming, Pintons. And yet, in the last 20 years, only Gilbert and Van den Broek have won for Belgium. So it's a long, long time to go for the nation who love this race so much. A little bit dicey down here. The rain is starting to fall again. "11 seconds, so we've gone from lovely dry roads to wet roads, and a few twists and turns coming up. Peloton safely through there. Last year it was the Luxembourger, Bob Jungels. Before that was Alejandro Valverde. Wout Poels in 16, then Valverde the year before, Gerrans in 2014, Martin in 13, Iglinski in 12, Gilbert in 11. Not far from the final climb. We crossed this final climb with 15 kilometres to go. Annemiek van Vleuten used it as her springboard. We are literally a kilometre from the base. 8 seconds, it's coming back. Kwiatkowski takes off his final jacket. Alaphilippe is back at the front. Alaphilippe's recovered. Now let's take a look at this. A bit of a slide. Oops, one of the Astana riders going into the field on the left-hand side. Bit of cyclocross. Alaphilippe has now recovered. Well, he looked like it was the end of the race for him, and now he's back up at the front. The final climb, the Côte de la Rochefoucauld. Cosnefroy is there. Kwiatkowski has just taken off his final jacket. 4 leaders. Vellens is in here. Winner of the Eneco Tour, winner of the Tour de Pologne, winner of Grand Prix Montreal, 2 stage wins in the Giro, winner of Brabantse Pijl in 2018, the traditional opener to the Ardennes week. On to the final climb of the day. 1.3 kilometres uphill. Vellens decides to go. Vellens starts the acceleration. He knows this is the place to go and try and go for the race victory. Tim Vellens has accelerated hard now for Lotto Soudal. The Belgian is going on the attack. This is a big, big move by Tim Vellens. Impey is trying to go with him. Tim Vellens looking good. The top of this climb is 1k away. Vellens with a high cadence now. Superb acceleration by the Belgian rider. Behind them now, someone else needs to accelerate. Final Tano Kangert is caught by the peloton. Well done to him. If there's anyone who deserves an aggressive rider award today, it's Tanel Kanget. Who is going to try their hand on this climb? Jakob Fuglsang with Julian Alaphilippe. There is Tim Wellens. They're coming back slowly but surely. Wellens doesn't seem to have the firepower you would have expected. He just isn't opening up the advantage he needs to. Alaphilippe no longer suffering. And here goes an attack, and it comes from EF. And this looks like another big acceleration. One rider going clear. It's a bit of a headwind. It looks like Michael Woods to me who's going clear. Cosnefroy's legs have given out. And Lambrecht's. That looked like a big acceleration from Woods. It is. So Woods followed by Wellens, followed by Fuglsang, then Alaphilippe. Following Alaphilippe is Vincenzo Nibali. On the wheel of Nibali is David Formolo, then Roman Bardet, David Gaudu. Wellens is struggling to stay in the wheels. Bardet unzips the jersey. And here goes Fuglsang. Attack of Fuglsang. Alaphilippe can't go with this one. Alaphilippe working his way backwards. And Alaphilippe looks to be in difficulty here. Adam Yates is there. Adam Yates trying to go across. Alaphilippe is coming to a bit of a standstill. Nibali is there. This Fuglsang, Woods and Formolo. Formolo won that spectacular stage in Catalonia where he was solo for the entire laps of Barcelona a few weeks ago. Here we go now with Fuglsang, Woods and Formolo. Three riders going clear over the top of the climb. Alaphilippe is rocking and rolling all over the place. Adam Yates alongside him with Nibali and Bardet. They look around at Alaphilippe to do the work. So it's a group behind, but the three riders in the ascendancy. Fuglsang, Michael Woods and David de Formolo of Italy. Fuglsang is really ratcheting this up now. 15 kilometers to go when they go over the top. But it's one of those descents where you have to stay on the pedals. You need a big advantage over the top here. Fuglsang has got rid of Alaphilippe for the first time in the Classics. If you've just joined us now, Jakob Fuglsang in the turquoise. Michael Woods looks to be suffering a little bit in the colours of EF Education first. He misses a turn. Might be clever tactics. Kwiatkowski looks across. Bora are happy with this. Team Sky with Wout Poels. Kwiatkowski looks around and says, I'm not chasing. Nibali is talking in his race radio, maybe to Dylan Teuns. There's Alaphilippe. For the first time, we've seen Alaphilippe in the chase group. The legs are finally giving out. Viking, thanks for your message. I'm glad you're enjoying the race. Michael Woods is struggling to hang on here. Wout Poels is coming across to Gaudu and Dylan Teuns. Alaphilippe is trying to do something about this. Here's an attack, comes from Mikael Landa. Landa of the Movistar team. This is a big opportunity for Mikael Landa. And Michael Woods just cannot go with this. Such a shame, the legs have just given out at the wrong time. Hauling himself up this little rise. 13 kilometers to go. The telltale sign that Woods is suffering. He looks back to see where the advantage is. Fuglsang has attacked now. Fuglsang goes clear. He gets rid of David Formolo. A huge acceleration by the rider from Astana. Jakob Fuglsang, is he finally going to win the race he's been looking for all season? Inside the final 13 kilometers, it's time trial time. This is the big gamble now. by Jakob Fuglsang. No one would doubt giving this rider this win. What a season he's had so far. Head down now. He won the Mountains classification in Murcia. He then went to Andalusia, the Ruta del Sol, and he won the general classification. He was second in Strade Bianche, third overall in Tirreno Adriatico, winning a stage. He then went to the Basque Country. He was third on a stage there. And since then, he's third in Amstel Gold, second in the Flèche Wallonne. Can he now win Liège, Bastogne Liège? 34 years of age, second in the Olympic Games. Michael Woods. Tanel Kanget did everything he could to put Woods in the right position, and he did. And Woods did make the break, but no one's been able to go with Fuglsang. Fuglsang's been feeling better and better. Adam Yates into the chasing group with Landa. So Landa, Gaudu, Vincenzo Nibali, Adam Yates. 20 seconds now. The race situation. Fuglsang solo. Behind him is David Formolo. Then it's Michael Woods. Then the group, which we've just seen. Look at Fuglsang. This is full commitment now. 15 seconds. The weather's a little bit better than it was a few hours ago. The leg warmers are off. He's getting the drink in. He's just trying as hard as possible to keep the acceleration on. He looks around to see what the gap is. Alaphilippe gambling here at the back. Just in front of him from the Wanty group, Guillaume Martin. Fuglsang is into time trial mode. Flat back. Resting the arms, trying to get some respite from the pain he's going through. This Danish rider is flat out now. It's a long, long way to the finish. There's David Formolo. He looked like he'd made it, but Fuglsang didn't want to go with anyone. He didn't want to risk it. Here is Mikael Landa in the group with Yates, with Gaudu going there on the left-hand side. Vincenzo Nibali going through. Thank you for everyone who's messaged in today. Four riders here in this little group. This is the chasing group. They've got to mop up Formolo and Woods. So the race situation, Fuglsang. Behind him 20 seconds is Formolo. Then Michael Woods. Then the group of Yates, Landa, Nibali and Gaudu. Just taking a look at this group. This is the Yates group, and now Dylan Toons has come back up to this group. And also in here, looked like they've caught one more rider. This is the chase group. Everyone gambling now to try and win this race. Still a lot of riding left, 21 seconds, 8.5 kilometers to go. Fuglsang through these roundabouts, right on the apex. Camera covered in rain. There is Liège and the race finish. The riders then through this descent. Now it's onto the flat, and then it's the run-in all the way back into the Boulevard d'Avreuil. Fuglsang has done everything right so far today. Looking down on the chase group, 6 riders in there now. Landa sitting right on the back. Remember, Alejandro Valverde abandoned the race. There's a David Formolo. He was super strong in Catalonia. The way he won the final stage, if you never saw it, went away and rode about the last 40 kilometres on his own and never really lost any of his advantage. He said yesterday he was so pleased with the start to his season and that today he just hoped that it would come together. Into the Super Tuck, 23 seconds, 6k to go, still doable. He's still got the advantage he needs. This is Formolo, who's really going backwards, but the fact that the chasing group isn't closing says to me that they haven't got the firepower either. Formolo, a little jump over that speed ramp into the aero tuck. He's 400 metres behind. The group of Yates is nearly a kilometre behind now. Yates goes to the front to try and get a little bit more drive into this chasing group. Landa sitting on the wheel. Good to see Mikel Landa in a strong position in a classic. Just hearing on race radio that Julian Alaphilippe's group has dropped back. He's at 1 minute 10 seconds. Fuglsang needs to keep the pressure on. Just keep the watts down. Try and bring this one home. Jakob Fuglsang, look at the speed of him now. He's throwing every single risk possible. Oh! How did he not crash then? That was incredible. He absolutely broadsided it, and somehow Jakob Fuglsang holds the bike up. What an incredible moment in this race. Here it is. He goes into this corner and he slides the bike totally. How did he hold it up? Wow. That shows the risk that he's putting in. Now he just needs to calm down a little bit. 26 seconds intact for Jakob Fuglsang. Oh, I don't know about you, but my heart is in my mouth now. That's incredible. How did Jakob Fuglsang do that? How did he hold the bike up? His riders then still chasing. They've still got a chance. They won't give up until they get there. Well, he's still putting in the effort. We're getting close to that corner that Fuglsang nearly crashed on. Everyone is safely through. If they see him in front, they will really put the pressure on. You've got some firepower in here. Fuglsang, if he wins this, he's going to recount that moment. He probably won't ever want to watch it. What an incredible moment in this race. 3.3k to go. It's looking increasingly likely that he's going to get that win he's been looking for. He's been looking for the big victory. Third in Amstel Gold, second in Flèche Wallonne. Is he going to back it up now with the big one? 26 seconds. He just needed a bit of luck this season. Maybe that little moment through that corner was the luck he's been waiting for. 2.5 kilometers to go. 27 seconds. Fuglsang is getting ready. This Danish rider looks like he might bring this home. Still on the road ahead is David Formolo. We haven't seen Michael Woods for a little bit. I don't know where he is. I think he might have been caught by the group of Yates out of the sight of the camera. But definitely Fuglsang is the leader. Formolo is in second place at around about 28 seconds. And then it's the group of Yates who are now dropping away. I think the group of Yates, in terms of the time check, are now falling away. This is looking like it's likely. Fuglsang still. Nice flat back, keeping the power on. This 34-year-old rider from Astana may well about to be bringing home his biggest victory of his career. He's won the Dauphiné, he's won the Tour of Luxembourg, he's won a medal in the Olympic Games, but this is a big, big moment. If you bring home a monument, there's the story then. So Woods has been caught out of sight of the cameras. Formolo is at 30 seconds now, and Yates and that are dropping back. Fuglsang is going to bring this one home. Safely through these corners, Jakob. David Formolo, can he hold on for second place to be on the podium of a monument? Everyone was talking about Schachmann for Bora, but now it's all about this rider. Jakob Fuglsang under the red kite. 1 kilometre to go. This has been a sparkling classic season for Jakob Fuglsang. The Danish diamond is about to bring it home. Jakob Fuglsang out the saddle. He's been searching, he's been looking, he's been hoping that Liege-Bastogne-Liège would be it, that would close his classic season where he's finished on the podium of every single one-day race he's ridden. He finally celebrates. He sees the Danish flag at the side of the road. Jakob Fuglsang is going to win Liège-Bastogne-Liège with a thrilling attack over the top of the final climb, taking with him David de Formolo and Michael Woods, and then getting rid of them just a few hundred meters later. Get ready now, 200 meters to go. No one denies this rider the victory. He deserves it. His season has been sparkling, and now he's bringing it home. Jakob Fuglsang wins Liège-Bastogne-Liège for Denmark, for Astana. Superb. Absolutely stunning racing by Jakob Fuglsang. Coming into the finish now is David Formolo. The last Danish winner of Liège-Bastogne-Liège was Rolf Sørensen in 1993. David Formolo comes in 6 hours, 37 minutes. Second place for Formolo. And here's the sprint for third place. Vincenzo Nibali is looking for another podium finish in a monument. Nibali leading out. Here comes Adam Yates in second place. The sun is shining here on the Boulevard d'Avroy in Liège, and it's going to be a big sprint. Michael Woods looking for it as well. We're going to have 2 Bora riders on the podium. Schachmann takes third place. Yates is fourth. Woods is fifth. Here comes Wout Poels, the winner in 2016. Also in this group coming in, Alberto Bettiol by the looks of things. A great day for Bora Hansgrohe. The last race in sky colours for Wout Poels. And Kwiatkowski's dreams of the winter didn't pay off. Jakob Fuglsang finally gets the big win he's been looking for. The 23rd victory of Astana of this season, and the biggest victory of Jakob Fuglsang's career. Riders will be coming in for a little while.
Congratulations.
Here he is.
An amazing victory for you today. How was the last climb on the La Rochefoucauld?
Thank you. Yeah, it was a hard one. Last climb, I had the team leaving me in perfect position before the climb. They were a little bit everywhere most of the day, but in the important moment they were there, and they did an amazing job. And Gorka he led me into Rochefoucauld in the bottom in a perfect way, and then when Woods he started the attack, it was the perfect way for me to jump with him first, and then I was like, okay, my finish line is on top. I knew it from Friday when we saw the parkour that I could not wait. So okay, first part of Rochefoucauld I have to do a selection if I cannot go alone, and then second part I saw that Woodsy was sitting over. I was like, okay, there can be two possibilities. He's a little on the limit, or he wants to save himself. I was like, okay, you have to try. I tried, and then in the moment I look back and see that he actually was gone. Formolo, he also led me 2-3 meters, and that was there. I knew, okay, now you have to leave everything out. Now you have to die before the top, and then try to keep going.
A little fear in the downhill with the bike.
Just a small one. That was a scary moment, but a bit of adrenaline for the last part.
Your wife was right. 3, 2, 1. An amazing feeling, I guess.
Yeah, it's an amazing feeling, and I'm happy that she is right, and I will always listen to her from now on, I promise.
Well, his wife was right. 3-2-1 was the way it's gone for Jakob Fuglsang. I don't think he'll ever forget that little moment on the descent, but that's maybe where his luck turned. And just that little bit of luck that he needed finally arrived on the descent off the top of that climb. As he said yesterday, my finish line is at the top of the final climb, and then it's all out, and that's what he did. Let's take a look then at the classification. That was quick. As we look down on the train station here in Liege, here we go. Here's our classification of the day. Jakob Fuglsang wins 6 hours 37 minutes 37 seconds. David Formolo second. Then it was Schachmann. Bora taking 2 riders onto the podium. Adam Yates in third. Woods again in the top places in this race. And what a star-studded field of riders in the top 10, including Nibali as well. Well, we wait now for the men's podium, and everyone enjoying the sunshine here on the finish line. Here's the highlights of today's race. Dominated early on by Alejandro Valverde, climbing off. And of course, the main attacks being set up by Tano Kanget of EF Education First to try and put his teammate in a strong position for the run-in. Michael Woods looking to try and win the race. Kanget was constantly on the attack. But as they ran in towards the finish line, it was all about the rush to the final climb of the day. This was the attack of Jakob Fuglsang, who got rid of everyone and then soloed into the finish line. Scary moment for Fuglsang on the descent. Somehow he held it up. Maybe his mountain biking prowess finally paid off, and he takes a monument. He wins Liège, Bastogne, Liège.
Un sacré numéro, il repart avec la place de deuxième. La formation allemande Bora Hansgrohe donc les places de 2 et
And now the winner of Liege, Bastogne Liege. Just reflecting there, wasn't he, on today? You could see him deep in thought about what he's just done. The winner of Liege, Bastogne Liege, from the Astana team, Jakob Fuglsang. The end of a spring campaign that brought him so many top results, but this is the one. This is the one he's been searching for. Fuglsang of Astana brings them another big victory, but the biggest win of his career.
Parti bien évidemment dans la dernière difficulté de cette épreuve. Il va lever les bras vers le ciel. On l'applaudit.
The winner of the 105th edition of Liege, Bastogne Liege, Jakob Fuglsang of the Astana team.
Nous allons désormais vous inviter, mesdames et messieurs, à un moment plus solennel, l'hymne officiel du Danemark.
And now the national anthem.
De la victoire, mesdames et messieurs, pour le Danois.
The winner of Liege, Bastogne Liege, Jakob Fuglsang of the Astana Pro team. Second place, David Formelo of Bora Hansgrohe and Maximilian Schachmann also of Bora Hansgrohe in third place. Well, it was a race of intrigue today. Lots happening, but the final climb was where Fuglsang made everything count. He used it as his finish line, and then he just kept going all the way to the finish. A heart in the mouth moment when he almost crashed on that descent into the finish line, but he brings home the race victory.